What if I told you that some of the most powerful weed killers ever used didn't come in plastic jugs with warning labels and skulls on them? They weren't invented in chemical labs, and they didn't poison groundwater or strip soil of life. They were plants, living, growing plants that farmers and gardeners relied on long before herbicides ever existed. Here's the shocking truth. Before synthetic weed killers took over agriculture, entire fields were cleared, reset, and protected using nothing but plants. Not hand weeding, not spraying. Plants that naturally smothered weeds, blocked germination, and even released chemical compounds into the soil that prevented other plants from growing. Most people have never been told this. While we're spending money every season on herbicides that damage soil biology and contaminate water, nature already built systems that suppress weeds automatically year after year without costing a dime. And today I'm going to show you 20 of those plants backed by real agricultural science and old farming knowledge that has been quietly forgotten. These aren't gimmicks. These are biological solutions that worked for centuries. Stick around because number 8 on this list produces one of the most powerful natural herbicides ever discovered. So strong that farmers used it to reset fields that were completely overtaken by weeds. And number 20 spread so aggressively that old-time gardeners planted it specifically where they wanted absolutely nothing else to grow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because here on Grown Folks Gardening, we share methods that save money, protect your soil, and put control back in your hands. Let's get into it. These are 20 forgotten plants that kill weeds naturally, ranked from impressive to absolutely incredible. Number 1, buckwheat. Buckwheat isn't just something you eat for breakfast. It's one of the fastest weed-suppressing plants ever used in agriculture. Buckwheat germinates in as little as 3 to 5 days. That speed matters. Most weeds never get a chance to establish because buckwheat claims the soil first. Within 2 to 3 weeks, it forms a dense canopy that completely shades the ground. Weed seeds rely on light to germinate. When that light disappears, they fail. But buckwheat does more than block sunlight. It also releases allelopathic compounds through its roots and decomposing residue. These natural chemicals suppress germination of competing plants even after buckwheat is cut down. Traditional farmers planted buckwheat as a cleanup crop. Let it grow for 6 to 8 weeks, cut it down, and you are left with soil that was noticeably weed-free. Modern studies confirm that buckwheat residue continues suppressing weeds long after decomposition begins. Buckwheat fell out of favor when spraying became easier than planting. But if you want fast, cheap, chemical-free weed control, buckwheat is still one of the most effective tools available. Number 2, mustard, white, and brown. Mustard plants aren't just crops, they're biological fumigants. White mustard and brown mustard have been used for generations to sterilize soil naturally. When these plants are cut and incorporated into the soil, they release compounds called glucosinolates. These break down into isothiocyanates, sulfur-based chemicals that suppress weed seeds, soil-borne diseases, and nematodes. The traditional method was precise. Grow mustard densely for 4 to 6 weeks. Cut it before flowering. Immediately till it into moist soil. Water it in. Within days, the soil becomes hostile to weed germination. Research shows mustard biofumigation can reduce weed pressure by more than 70%. And unlike chemical fumigants, these compounds break down naturally without harming soil life long term. Mustard disappeared when industrial fumigation replaced biology, but the plant version still works, still costs less, and still improves soil instead of degrading it. Number 3, daikon radish. Daikon radish is the underground enforcer. This plant grows a massive taproot that can reach over a foot deep, punching through compacted soil and outcompeting weed roots underground. But its real power shows up after it dies. When daikon radish decomposes, it releases compounds that suppress weed germination while leaving behind vertical soil channels that improve drainage and root penetration. Farmers planted it in late summer, let winter kill it, and returned in spring to loose, fertile, weed-reduced soil. This process is now called biological drilling, and studies show it can reduce spring weed emergence by more than half. Daikon was forgotten when mechanical tillage replaced biological soil management, but it doesn't compact soil, it heals it. Number 4, clover, red and white. Clover is living weed suppression. Red and white clover spread low and dense, forming a continuous carpet that blocks light from the soil surface. Weed seeds can't germinate without light. Clover denies it completely. As a legume, clover also fixes nitrogen, enriching the soil while suppressing weeds. Orchardists and berry growers once relied on clover between rows specifically to eliminate weeding while feeding crops. Studies show clover ground covers reduce weed biomass by up to 90%. It was abandoned when synthetic nitrogen and herbicides took over, but clover still performs both jobs naturally year after year. Number 5, comfrey. Comfrey doesn't compete with weeds, it erases them. Its leaves grow massive, overlapping, and dense, blocking nearly all sunlight from reaching the soil beneath. Nothing survives in that shade. Meanwhile, its deep roots pull nutrients from far below where weeds can't reach. Historically, comfrey was planted along borders, fence lines, and problem areas where permanent weed suppression was needed. Once established, it never lets go. Comfrey is hard to remove, and that's exactly why it works. It doesn't need replanting, spraying, or maintenance. It simply dominates. Number 6, sweet potato vine. Sweet potato vines smother weeds through speed and coverage. In warm climates, these vines spread aggressively, covering bare soil completely. The dense canopy blocks light, while thick stems physically prevent weeds from pushing through. Southern gardeners planted sweet potatoes not just for food, but as living mulch. Weed pressure dropped dramatically wherever vines ran. At season's end, vines were composted and roots harvested, leaving soil cleaner for the next year. Number 7, winter rye. Winter rye is weed suppression that keeps working after death. Its roots release allelopathic compounds that inhibit weed germination. When rye is cut and left as mulch, those compounds intensify. Farmers planted rye in fall, cut it in spring, and planted into residue that suppressed weeds for months. Studies show reductions of up to 90%. Unlike herbicides, rye doesn't create resistance. It improves soil while it works. Number 8, sorghum-sudangrass. This plant produces sorgoleone, one of the strongest natural herbicides ever identified. Sorgoleone disrupts photosynthesis in competing plants at extremely low concentrations. It leaches from roots into surrounding soil, preventing weed germination and killing seedlings. Farmers planted it densely, let it grow 60 to 90 days, then removed it. Fields once overwhelmed by pigweed and bindweed became usable again. This plant was abandoned only because spraying was easier. But against herbicide-resistant weeds, it still works. Number 9. Hairy vetch. Hairy vetch creates physical domination. Its vines tangle into dense mats that block light and space completely. At the same time, it fixes massive amounts of nitrogen. Farmers used it to reset exhausted land. Let it grow, cut it, plant into residue. Weeds vanished. Number 10, nasturtium. Nasturtium spreads fast, shades soil, and interferes with weed signaling. Its broad leaves overlap, blocking light. Root compounds disrupt germination cues. Gardeners planted it as edging because weeds simply failed to establish. It's edible, beautiful, and functional all at once. Number 11, yarrow. Yarrow suppresses weeds chemically while improving soil structure. It releases allelopathic compounds and grows dense enough to exclude competitors. Deep roots loosen soil and cycle nutrients upward, historically used as borders for permanent suppression. Number 12, mint. Mint spreads through underground runners so aggressively that nothing else survives. Gardeners once planted it intentionally where zero-maintenance weed control was needed. Its reputation as invasive is exactly what makes it effective. Contained properly, it's unbeatable. Number 13, fennel. Fennel creates exclusion zones. Its roots release phenolic compounds that prevent other plants from growing nearby. You can see bare soil beneath mature fennel. Planted strategically, it creates permanent weed-free zones. Number 14, wormwood. Wormwood was used by monks to reset weed-infested beds. Its chemical output suppresses nearly all plant growth around it. Beds were cleared by planting wormwood for a season, then removing it. It's extreme, but effective. Number 15, sunflower. Sunflowers release compounds that inhibit weeds while improving soil. Farmers rotated them through fields to reduce weed pressure naturally. After harvest, residue continued suppression. Number 16, chamomile. Chamomile works through soil microbiology. It supports beneficial microbes that interfere with weed germination. Cottage gardens used chamomile lawns for low-maintenance weed control. Number 17, squash. Squash was the weed control engine of the Three Sister system. Its massive leaves blocked all light between crops, eliminating weeding entirely while producing food. Number 18, oats. Oats germinate fast, outcompete weeds early, then decompose into suppressive mulch. Used as a cleanup crop for centuries. Number 19, thyme. Thyme forms woody, impenetrable mats. Once established, weeds cannot penetrate. Traditional pathways stayed weed-free for decades. Number 20, lemon balm. Lemon balm spreads relentlessly. Old gardeners planted it where they wanted nothing else to grow. Once established, it dominates completely. This is why it closes the list. Lemon balm proves that aggressive plants aren't enemies, they're tools. If this changed how you think about weeds, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to Grown Folks Gardening, because the best weed control was never in a bottle. It was always in the plants.